Welcome, and thanks for joining me for part 2 of this very special episode honoring the lives and memories of our nation's soldiers who've given their all, as well as their families. During our last episode, we met a Gold Star mother, a young widow, and a soldier who survived devastating injuries. These are their remarkable stories. Helene Paci was the mother of Army Sergeant Tony Paci. Tony and his wife Erica were enjoying life with their 3 beautiful children when Tony was deployed to Afghanistan in 2010. During a mission on March 4th, Tony was involved in a terrible accident. An Afghani civilian accidentally drove into the middle of the convoy. Tony's striker swerved and rolled, causing him to be instantly killed. The funeral was held later at Arlington National Cemetery, and Helene remembers the remarkable turnout, a testament to her son as a man and a soldier. What do you remember most about that day?
The incredible honor and respect that was shown for my son. The funeral procession of the cars that left the cemetery was over a mile long. It was just incredible, the amount of people.
What was it like to have that graveside service and then walk away?
I had a hard time walking away. I still have a hard time walking away. I go to the cemetery all the time. I wasn't finished taking care of him.
How have you and your family coped with the loss?
I can't say that in the past tense because we're still coping. You just get by day and you just deal with whatever comes at you.
Does it seem to get any easier as time goes by?
No. I have to say the contrary. Because the longer it takes for him to come home, the more real it is he's not coming. So, I mean, there are good days and bad days. But I think it's something we're going to have to learn to cope with, and it's going to take a long time to put that in the past tense.
How are Erica and your grandchildren doing?
You know, she's got so much support. She's doing amazing. I'm so impressed by what a strong young lady she is. She is an incredible. Every day I learn more and more why my son was so in love with her, because she's just an amazing, strong person.
A young widow and mother is doing her best to cope with a tragic loss. Nikki Bunting's husband, Army Captain Brian Bubba Bunting, was killed in Afghanistan by an improvised explosive device on February 24, 2009. His tragic death came just 4 days after spending 2 weeks at home visiting his family. 4 days after Bubba's death, Nikki discovered she was pregnant with their second son, Cooper. Like Helene, the remarkable attention and respect Bubba received at his funeral in Arlington National Cemetery provided great comfort to Nikki. Now, I watched the graveside service on the internet, and it was very moving, very respectful.
Yeah.
Was it hard for you to walk away from the casket?
Yeah, very hard. Very hard. I remember I brought him, we loved St. Patrick's Day. We loved St. Patrick's Day. I mean, he loved Ireland. We went to Ireland on our honeymoon. And so he loved everything Irish. So, of course, we loved St. Patrick's Day. Thank you. So he was buried at Arlington the day before St. Patrick's Day. So I remember I brought him green flowers and a little leprechaun. And I left those for him. It was hard to walk away. I didn't want to. You don't want to bury your husband.
How did you get through the rest of that day and the days after and the weeks and months?
Yeah. Once again, I'm just so lucky that I was pregnant. I really think that's what helped get me through. Is that
what kept you going?
It did. It really did. Because, you know, I had Connor, and Connor gave me something to smile about every day. But Cooper, you know, in my tummy, he kept me healthy. You know, I had to eat for him.
A promise for the future, too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, it was just amazing.
Do you ever struggle with anger?
Yeah, of course. But kind of like the what ifs, I try not to let it consume me. I feel like the people that did this to him, they don't deserve my anger. So I try not to let it consume me. But yeah, I do get angry a lot. Not on a day-to-day basis, but on holidays, birthdays. That's when it gets to me the most, because they're never the same, ever. So they have robbed our family of so much. The kids right now, I'm glad that they don't understand, but eventually they'll understand. And I dread that day that they get it, you know.
Does it get any easier as time goes by?
A little bit, it does. Well, I should say it becomes just more commonplace.
You learn to cope more?
Yeah, exactly.
In a moment, we'll hear the story of Shane Parsons and his tale of miraculous survival in Iraq. Army Sergeant Shane Parsons has made miraculous progress since losing his legs and nearly his life in 2006 when a roadside bomb detonated under the Army Humvee he was driving in Iraq. Shane also suffered a severe brain injury due to significant blood loss and spent several months at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. But with the help of doctors and his mother, Shane's making an amazing recovery. He works hard in physical therapy and remains active by rock climbing and playing wheelchair basketball. And there's a possibility he may acquire prosthetic limbs in the future. While he's grateful for the second chance he's been given at life, he still struggles to cope with the greatest hardship, all that he's lost. Do you ever find that things are just too much and you want to give up?
No.
Do you struggle with post-traumatic?
Yeah, I get
What's it like? What do you go through then?
anger, frustration, rage, hate,
And how do you counter that?
TV, movies, games, spend time with mom, friends.
Keep your mind occupied, is that how you do it?
Yeah, I try and stay active as much as I can.
While Shane's physical losses were great, they weren't the only struggles he and Cindy faced. They also incurred terrible damage to their home. While in Washington, D.C. and other locations for therapy, it sustained water damage and severe mold made it unsuitable for living. Fortunately, several generous organizations and individuals arranged for the Parsons home to be rebuilt and ready for Shane's homecoming.
What had happened is Coalition Support American Heroes provided the money to get the modular home. So they put the modular home down, and then Hope for the Warriors came forward and finished the house by adding on his room, exercise, a shower, wheel-in shower for a shower chair. Then the Bob Woodruff Foundation gave Shane a grant so that he could have the endless pool for his chronic back pain, because he does suffer from chronic back pain, and that helps him with the...
What advice or words of comfort, Shane, would you have for those who are going through what you've been through?
And you got a second chance. Do what you want to make of it. You know, do what you want to do better. I'm still fighting. I'll never stop fighting until I'm done breathing.
Cindy, what advice do you have for moms that are going through what you went through?
You never give up hope. Hope is everything. I realize that there are some really bad days, and they continue to have some bad days, but there's many good days that make up for that. And I also believe that it is a choice to wake up every day and to choose to be happy. I feel as a parent I must be a good example for my children or my son by not giving up and keeping that strength going, and knowing that I'm proud of him because he gets it. He gets it.
In a moment, we'll hear how the Pachi, Bunting, and Parsons families are keeping the memories of their soldiers' sacrifices alive. One of the concerns for families of fallen soldiers is that their soldier's sacrifice will be forgotten. Sergeant Tony Paci's brother Marco and mother Helene have found tangible ways to keep Tony's memory and sacrifice present in their lives. You had a tattoo, a couple tattoos.
3. Okay. This tattoo here, I got when he had first enlisted. This to show him that, supporting him and that, I really respected what he was doing. And it says, "Never forget 9/11, 2001, support our troops." Then when he died, me and a bunch of my family members went up to a tattoo shop and got the bronze star with his initials put on there, which is Anthony Americo Paci. And then this one I just recently got here, which is the Soldier's Cross.
What do you think about when you look in the mirror and see those?
It's just that I had an amazing older brother that, would definitely lay his life down for anybody that he loved.
Did your mom get a tattoo also?
Mom got a gold star pendant. And it has Tony's birthstone, a diamond in my birthstone, which is red, white, and blue. And his name is engraved on the back with his birth date and his death date. And he's close to my heart all the time.
Are you worried that Americans may forget the sacrifice that Tony and others have made?
I do worry that they'll forget about it, but I know that here, home, his memory will live here forever.
Nikki Bunting is working hard to ensure Bubba's memory will live on. The year after his death, she organized Bubba's Belly Run, an annual 5K walk and race to raise money to support Gold Star families. The run has been very successful in the last 2 years, raising over $100,000. Nikki is making sure Bubba's sacrifice is remembered, and he remains a presence in the lives of Connor and Cooper.
I talk about him all the time. All the time.
And I understand you go out to Arlington every Sunday?
Every Sunday. Yeah, rain or shine.
Why do you do that?
I want the kids to know that he's a part of our life still. So we go out there and I want them to know that he's a part of our life. And we bring things out to him, cards, or I have Connor draw pictures for him or whatever. And it's something, we go there, we don't cry. We don't, it's not a sad time. We go out there and we visit Daddy and we have fun.
Now, I understand Bubba left some videos.
He did.
To you and the boys. Tell me a little bit about that.
He left us quite a few videos. Some he made before he deployed, of him reading some stories. Some he sent us while he was deployed, and some we have when he was home for R&R. So those videos I treasure so much. I get to hear him talking and I get to hear his laugh. His laugh was just one that you don't forget. And I also get by knowing you can see those videos and see how much he loved Connor and how much he wanted another child. So that's what I get to tell Cooper in the future. It's just that he was Daddy's last wish.
What do you plan to tell the boys about their dad when they get older?
They're just going to grow up knowing what a hero their dad is and how much he gave for our country and just how much he loves this country and he loved his family. And, he just loved the Army. He really did. He just would do anything for his family and for his friends. That's what he did.
Shane, do you ever worry that the sacrifice that you and your fellow soldiers have made will be forgotten by America?
I'll make sure that we won't. We'll never forget our fallen brothers and sisters, especially from the First World War all the way till now.
Because some of the guys didn't come back like you did.
Yeah, they paid the ultimate sacrifice, and they'll always be embedded in my heart, and my mother's, and everybody else's, no matter what. Well,
After all that we've interviewed the people and interacted with, I want to say thanks for living, because the anguish and pain is beyond words for them. So your mom was spared. You've gone through a lot.
Yes.
And I don't minimize that at all, but I just want to thank you for hanging in there and coming back.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a long struggle, but you know, I've never quitting anything in my life, and I won't stop, you know, fighting for what I believe in.
Coming up, we'll hear thoughts on the lifetime sacrifice our soldiers are making, a vivid reminder of the sacredness of innocent human life. American soldiers and their families are the true definition of heroes because they're paying the ultimate sacrifice. Soldiers like Tony Paci, Bubba Bunting, and Shane Parsons put their lives on the line to defend freedoms we hold dear, including the most basic right of all, the right to life. And though it's a lifetime sacrifice, their families agree it's important in the fight to defend our freedom. I know this is a difficult question, but do you feel the sacrifice is worth it?
Well, the general who spoke at Tony's funeral, that was his very first question was, I'm sure all of you are sitting here wondering, is it worth it? And in the grand scheme of things, I have to say yes, because we're free to sit here and do this interview, because journalism is free, speech is free. Women can vote. Tony was in Afghanistan when the women had their first right to vote last year. And he said to me, Mom, you can't have to see the look on these women's face to walk into a polling booth and be able to cast a vote after years and years of oppression. So I know Tony thought it was worth it. Yes, being free is worth it.
Losing a brother, it's not something I would wish upon anybody, and you know, so knowing that aspect, that it's not worth it because I lost one of my best friends. But yes, because it does show that it's real what's going on, and that, you know, everything that's happening is, you know, people are laying down their lives to keep us safe and keep us free.
That's a really hard question to answer. You know, if he were to answer that question, I think he'd say yes. I have a hard time answering it. I know he was proud of what he did, but I think that he would have made the sacrifice willingly, because he loved his family and his friends and his country so much. But it's a big sacrifice. Our family has sacrificed a lot, and he has too. So, you know, I'd say if he were to answer that, yeah, I think he would say yes.
Let me ask you both the same question. Was it worth it?
Yes.
You didn't hesitate.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was, like I said, I would have gave everything up. You know, and knowing that, you know, Mom would have to, you know, be, you know, as without a kid, without a child. I'd do it all over again.
We had a friend that we lost recently. He served in the Air Force, and Shane brought up a quote from President Kennedy that I was so proud of him. And he said, "It's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country."
We've been a nation for, God, some years. You know, we've gone through shambles of war and fighting for what we believe in. This is our land. We're not giving it up. Nobody's taking nothing from me. Nobody's taking nothing from me or my brothers and sisters. We will keep fighting until the war is over.
What advice can you give Americans to always be mindful, to always remember that sacrifice that Tony and others have paid?
Just say a little prayer every day for those soldiers who are out there fighting for your freedom. And be appreciative and thankful first to God and then to them for what they're willing to do. And don't take your freedom for granted.
Really, honestly, just to be grateful within your heart. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything. You know, you can say thank you, and it does mean a lot. But when I know somebody is truly grateful, that means the most to me.
Well, I know I speak for all Americans when I say how deeply appreciative we are of the sacrifice you and your family have made.
Thank you.
And Bubba will always be in our hearts. Always, always.
That's what means the most to me. I don't ever want him forgotten. He was such a great man. Thank you.
Helene, Nikki, Shane, Cindy, and Marco are serving a life sentence. They've paid an enormous price for the freedoms we hold dear. Bubba and Tony have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Their stories give us a glimpse into the pain and anguish. And if you listen closely, you'll never be the same. As the parent of a soldier deployed to Iraq with the Stryker Task Force, I've experienced sheer pride while at the same time being terribly fearful about his welfare. All military families know firsthand, freedom demands an enormous price. I can also say your kind words of appreciation mean a great deal to those who make this sacrifice.